Welcome to another episode of the Philosophy of Chillin. I'm your host, Dunlap the Connect, and yeah, we back at it. Today I felt as if I was supposed to speak about this before I made any more episodes or grew into opportunities that may be presented to me. Because how I am processing where my life is right now and where it can grow to be, it's made me understand that the process at which God will allow me to grow involves me being strong even in a vulnerable state of being, regardless of what spectrum of being or department you want to get into for real. With that being stated, the reason why I am even on this platform, even creating content, speaking in general, has been a big foundational goal as to how and why I get the opportunities that I do in life. So I thought it was only right, and it was also downloaded to me, that I must go through the topic of speaking. With that being stated, the questions that I'm trying to answer are really in two different segments. And the first being why I am choosing to speak in a transparent, direct, you can even throw laissez-faire in there, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's how you appropriately pronounce it, but sometimes, you know what I mean? Style of articulation when it comes to expressing my own thoughts and contributions. Why? Why am I doing this? Like, I will answer that question for myself and for whoever is choosing to listen as well. The next aspect is in regards to the responsibility that one must acknowledge when executing the thoughts in which they are announcing to other individuals, because those vibrations surround people in general. And how does one manage through that responsibility of knowing, regardless of whatever state you're in individualistically, that the words you're saying have a realism behind them that creates this level of power that one truly has to awaken to understand their next move. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't know. Like, I'm hoping this makes sense, but like it makes sense to me and how I'm trying to explain it. So bear with me. And I guess I'm only talking like this when I talk. I only look at the camera directly because I know no one is physically here when I'm like recording episodes unless I have like an interviewee or like people that may drop by the studio for Honest Light LLC. And I don't want to, seem crazy, but at the same time, I look at the camera directly because I'm acknowledging the fact that even though I'm by myself currently in this moment speaking, there may be somebody that actually takes time to listen to this episode in general. So I just want to acknowledge that I know I can't hear you talking back to me, but like I also am involving you in the conversation too. Does that make sense to you? For sure. For sure. Okay. Pressing play on the original topic of the day. Those are the two questions I'm basically trying to address in this specific umbrella of conversation. And as always, it can be continued. That's what it's supposed to do. So, why am I speaking? Let me first start off by saying that what I do currently is undescribable to me because I did not have the vision of being in these positions. And I say that because that is probably the most important aspect. And why, like, does that onomatopoeia make sense? Like that wow, WHOA. That's how it feels to me when I look at my life currently. And speaking is a big part of what I hated. And I know people say hate is a strong word. Like me loathing something, like that's, an equivalent to hate. And honestly, I feel like loathing is worse than hating. Like if I take the time out to articulate the pronunciation of the word loathing, like, come on, bro. Like, I might mean that shit for real. I might mean that shit for real. But like, I do also understand that hating is a strong word. Anyway, that is how I felt about speaking. Like, yeah, because it's that serious to me. And I'm about to dissect why and how I ended up here today being in the developmental stages of utilizing the gift of speaking that God has given me. So, for one, historically, just in general, it's not funny, but like laughing is a part of my coping mechanism because to me, it's blatantly like obvious a solution can be. But to some, that's not the same degree of thinking that is applied in totality amongst humanity. And for me, I just find it interesting because when any aspect of a living entity especially has the gift of speaking in whatever language it may be. For humans, even language comes up differently, and that's, another reason why we have different dialects, because they all form their own characters depending on what environment you're in and what you have to adapt to, and how the word, not the words, but the vibrations of your vocal cords come off or are able to, really register with another individual. All that being stated, acknowledge that layer. And it's going to continue to build, because all of these layers kind of wrap up into the reason why, as a child, I recognized the hate that can be associated to utilizing such a basic element of our human experience that honestly controls the mentality and understanding, or even the vision that one upholds, or not necessarily projects, but I'll just say deals with at this point right now. But that's still not a good way to describe it, because it's deeper than that. Anyway, even knowing the ways in which utilizing someone's ability to speak, for one, historically has not had the best track record, especially when you compare it to the intertwining of, how do I say this, humanity's responses to situations in those historical elements. I guess that's the best way to say it, because it goes deeper than that too, but I don't want to spend too much time trying to articulate the intricacies of the emotion that may be experienced because of, and not necessarily, well, I mean, it is ego associated. If someone feels, how do I say this? As if they are disrespected. And even that's not a good word, because I want to say so much more. So I asked those two questions, and I mentioned the historical factor of the track record that speaking amongst humanity has done. I mean, because there's so many different examples. And if I start going into one, I'll fall into a tunnel and go into everything. And that I want to try to keep this not necessarily surface level, but I just don't want to go too deep too quickly. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I loathe speaking. And honestly, I didn't loathe it. I just hated it, speaking, because of everything that comes with it on the levels of basically inviting other entities to build reasoning to create a level of interaction between, or presently in that moment. And maybe that didn't make sense. I don't know. But essentially what I'm saying is, if someone says something and someone else takes it the wrong way, or if it conflicts with someone's plans directly in any way, there are repercussions that come with the aspect of being a focal piece or vessel or talent. And if that is the case, there are examples of what can come up that highlights why being outspoken and utilizing your gift of speaking can be deferred from. And if I have to be more specific, maybe it'll come up again on another episode. Who knows? But I did have those feelings behind it. But at the same time, my vision of being able to be a vessel that is connected to God and stays in alignment with them regardless of what it may take me through, and choosing to still be in that light versus continuing to feel or develop in a sense of silence and darkness. Does that make sense? So, because I had that vision, it then became okay, well, what is it that keeps getting put my way? And I kid you not, I could run from it, deny an opportunity that, gives somebody else, highlights and, things that they may be excited about, and have that opportunity be given to them over me. You know what I'm saying? Just so I wouldn't be in a position to where I would have to speak. And still, it kept coming to me. So, why is it that I am speaking now is still tied to the reason why I didn't like speaking before and why I'm still showing up for it, because of the vision that I had for myself in the past, my now present, and what I want to grow and develop in the future, which is to stay in that alignment with where God tells me to go to, or the spaces in which I have been told to be present for and show up to, regardless of however that interaction may go. I never know the details in between, but I do know that this is the feeling that helps me acknowledge or confirm the fact that I am staying in alignment with the right flow and the right mindset to essentially evolve and develop regardless of the different paths and directions that the actions and opportunities may lead me to. I do it because that is what I have been presented to. And I want to go more so into my second question, because it kind of exposes the reason why I still don't like talking sometimes. because someone has to choose to listen. And I'm always welcome to have a conversation in regards to positive and negative interactions and moments. Like, I love to talk about situations directly, even if there is a level of uncomfortability, because that just exposes me to the reasons at which the communication aspect for myself or for others can reveal about where they are presently and where I need to be to get to where I want to when it comes to communicating to somebody. And essentially, all I'm trying to highlight is that responsibility factor, because a reason that I hated it is because of the influence that it can have, mind you, because someone has to acknowledge what you're saying, what they are either saying to you or what you are saying to them, to then take your words and intertwine it or embed it into some level of subconsciousness that actually leads to action. Because it's consciously, give or take, somebody will actually acknowledge it. But subconsciously, being around it and having the words of somebody that you respect or somebody that was supposed to say something around you while you were in their presence, it cemented, whether you controlled it or not, because of you being around its vibrations. That's how you heard it. So either you were listening consciously or subconsciously, those words still connected to you. And if they were recognized by even some part of your personality or two aspects of what you're supposed to be experiencing within this journey, it can have a way of influencing either the actions that you choose to do presently or to the environment that you're experiencing that is now creating this snowball effect of results that are connected to an entity that is speaking to you. Like, do you get what, like, this is why I used to not like it. I still do it because God asked me to. That's why I'm talking today to you, speaking, utilizing what I have accumulated within my own knowledge and experience, and am now trying to articulate it in a way that not only is descriptive of what I'm trying to say and depict, but also in a way that is receivable to the person that will come across what I'm saying to you. There's a snowball effect of influence, power, and shoot, really just plain and simple understanding. That then goes into the second question of what I asked in regards of how do you manage it? Because for me personally speaking, I can describe what I understand to be true past the surface level to you. But even to get past that surface level, I also have to acknowledge the surface level emotions that come readily. And, everybody may get that too. You feel me? Because at, at a more in depth level, managing how you deal with the responsibility of what you say in general comes from allowing your mental capacity to be boundless beyond limitations and principles that keep you confined to a certain aspect of reality. That at least is how I have been able to persist past the hate and go into a understanding of discipline to a point where I may not like to always do it, or I may have reasons that curate my perspective of what I'm experiencing because I have to do this. But at the same time, if God asked me to, I will tell you I don't give a fuck to you, bro. Like, I do not care. I do not care. I do not care. And you know what? Like, my experience in life has been a reflection of that, seriously. Thinking back in this moment, yeah, for sure. Because if God asked me to be there or if God asked me to say something, now there are times where I develop, which is another reason why I don't like and why I also understand. Because what I don't like is still equivalent to what I understand to be true. I don't like it because the way I register information, it ain't gotta be like that, bro. Like it doesn't have to be like that. It don't gotta be like that. And there are so many instances where it can be explained to where at the end of the day it didn't have to be like that. And I love reading history. I love reading watching documentaries, and I love knowledge and understanding the different experiences of other individuals around me, and not just in one aspect of I guess acknowledging different depths of humanity on this earth globally. Like, I'm not talking vertically as far as my information is concerned. I'm talking like horizontally across the world. I just love to be able to immerse myself into knowledge of what is old and what is current and what is new, and be able to identify the aspects that can be developed on to create solutions in ways in which that equate to the innovation and the respect of the evolution of that specific element or aspect. With that being said, for anybody that can understand what I just articulated, please understand that knowledge and recognition is embedded into the statement of it ain't gotta be like that. You know what I'm saying? It don't. And I'm not trying to get too intricate because I will literally be here all night and I cannot. I gotta go. And I know you do too. So we can't be here all day, even if we may need to. I say all of this to say and acknowledge that I don't want to keep going back to the fact that, oh, I hate speaking XYZ ABC. No, 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 no. What I'm saying is I understand these real aspects that come with committing to be outspoken in whatever you're articulating. It don't matter what mental state you in. It don't matter if you're the healthiest, considered the most toxic. It don't matter. It don't matter. If you said it, it's out there. Like, these are elements that are so present in our understanding of society, but still the responsibility of how we're choosing to execute our actions around the things that people have said or forms of speaking, whether it's written, verbal, nonverbal. The responsibility has the perception of what that responsibility is has been has not been executed in a way that truly reflects how boundless someone's commitment to communicating in being the best or the version that the spirit within them, let me not say spirit, let me say soul, that the soul within them recognizes to be true past what they have been confining themselves to. Does that make sense? I just felt like I need to sit in that for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. um and that is a part of the responsibility that has to be acknowledged in the form of speaking that I'm referring to. It has to, because yeah, you can just talk. People talk all day, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes not everything you think is what you need to speak. I try to speak intentionally, which is why I ask God to use me as a vessel to talk to, walk through, think through, because otherwise knowing how you can build a domino effect with the words that you say to another individual. If you truly recognize that power for what it is, and that's honestly lack of a better word, because there are still people that, speak and maybe you don't need to, cool, for sure. Hey, me too, maybe, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, you can still do it regardless. I'm just talking about a level of speaking that you have to build control around because of the ways that it can affect not just yourself, but your environment. Like, the managing aspect comes from the acknowledgement of that. Like, yes, if I say this, it can influence XYZ ABC to do this. Okay, that's cool. And you can choose what you do, choose what you do, choose what you do with that information. Does that sound right? I don't know. English, man. For real though. But anyway, you can choose what you do with that information. And it looks differently for everybody, especially depending on where you are mentally. But I say all that to say it still has to be recognized for it to affect somebody, because at a certain point, if you get enough people to listen, then you're just going to create more and more opportunities for eyes to be on you. And that's cool too, but them eyes come with other opinions that have their own agendas that can be nosy too. For good or for the bad. And because I'm talking on both spectrums here. Like, I can go into the good things all day. Like, the good things, like itemizing how you can possibly pull somebody out of a depression because of the things that you say to somebody, just because you're coming from a place of genuine care or love. Like, that aspect of influence has to be recognized. But in order to manage that, you have to know that at the same time, what I'm saying to somebody is important too, regardless of what this individual chooses to do with what I relay to you. If you acknowledge that, then that's a big part of, for one, accepting that you also have to, and this is something that I continuously have to grow into, you have to acknowledge that at the end of the day, I just can't say shit willy-nilly because of my emotions. Like, I just can't. Like, that's probably the time where I should be the most quiet. And if you push something out of me physically, well then shit, we here now. So what you gonna do? Cause I'm just gonna act on instincts at that point, if it really come down to it. But what I'm saying that to say is, what is influencing that type of moment and recognition? Because honest and truthfully, for me, I had to recognize that even at a small scale, it don't matter if the only person that even listen to you is for your child, or just, it don't matter if it's one person. They may have no relation to you or nothing. it can just be one person, and what you say matters to a degree to where it may influence their mental capacity or something in between. If you just have that one person, a part of managing that aspect is also understanding that regardless of what I feel on a surface level, if this person listens, maybe this person listens because there's a divine connection between what I have been constructed to do while I'm here presently to convey something that you will take away either positively, negatively, shit, who knows. I just know that if I'm connected to understanding what I'm supposed to say to you versus what comes out of me based on what I'm feeling physically, it may not always be in alignment with why I was brought to this person specifically. Because what I had to learn was I may feel it, it may not always be the best way to say something, especially if presently you want to make sure that you're articulating yourself within your best mental capacity. Does that make sense? That's why, like, mental health is such a big thing. And in terms of speaking, there's a reason why they say there's power in your words. So how do you manage it all? Well, I mean, you also have to recognize the level of responsibility that you actually hold to it, which is why I've been trying to pull it out as far as how I understand it to be. Like I don't take this shit lightly. Like this has been very daunting for me because I know that the things I have to say go beyond a certain level of comfortability for the people around me. And that can be dangerous sometimes because depending on what revolutionary you know, you just let me know what they had to experience, and then let's jump back into 2026 and look around at our political environment and then just be like, okay, worst case scenario, what might be experienced utilizing the gift of the topic of speaking that we're talking about today? You get what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, it's one of those things where you have to recognize at a level at which accepts the reality of both aspects of I guess the good and bad realities. And this is not necessarily, I guess, a bulletin point based articulation of the ways in which to manage it, because there's also an aspect to where you also have to detach yourself from, not necessarily detach yourself, that's not the right word, because if you're not mentally where you should be based on where God wants you to be, then there's conflict. And for me, I genuinely cannot remember some of the conversations I say, because it's like it's downloaded that way and it just comes out. And I'll sit there and I'll be like, I don't remember what I said. But if it touched somebody, then you know what I'm saying, I'm hoping for the best. I don't want to be someone who I hit me up one day and be like, well, somebody did some crazy shit and they said you told them to do it, and I be like, nah, 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 nah. I ain't tell you to do shit. You did that. You did it by yourself. I don't know where you got that from. For me, I didn't tell you to do that. You interpreted and took that language and did what you want with it. I'm not in control of that, bro. I'm just here to let you know. You feel me? So, there's an aspect of responsibility that, yes, you need to be accountable for the words that you say, but you also have to be accountable for the health of the vessel that you're investing into to say the words that you're communicating to somebody in general. Who are you surrounded by? What are you listening to? What are the patterns that you're seeing? And can you see the patterns? Not just being in the cycle yourself, but being able to look at the cycle of the pattern externally and then assess where it needs to develop, where it needs to grow, or are you just in alignment with that in general? And that's cool either way, but can you do that process of analyzing that aspect so that you know what's going into what you're articulating to somebody else and what you're saying? Because you know of the responsibility that you have in regards of how you are able to influence the people around you. So, yeah, that's a part of what I know to be true. And I just checked the time and I gotta go. And I know you do too. And honestly, that might be the last thing that I have to say about speaking and the topic of what I process in order to do what I am being led to say in not just these episodes, but in my present life today. So, with that, I can sit here and talk all day, but again, I gotta go, and I know you do too. So, thank you. Till next time, it's been Done Love to Connect. I'm out of here. Peace.